Hi guys, welcome back. Today's video is all about repurposing an old book. So this is a beautiful old book I found at an antique store. It was in pretty bad shape, so I gutted it out. And it's going to be repurposed into a sketchbook / junk journal. I was originally just going to do a sketchbook, but then decided I want to make it both because it's pretty big. How cool are these illustrations? I kept these pages, the front and the back, in because I could not get rid of them. It's just so random and weird and amazing all at the same time. So definitely wanted to keep those in. So I am going to try to attempt to explain step by step what I'm doing. However, I'm not very good at that. So this will be both visual and me talking you through it. So first off, we need to make the spine stronger. And by doing that, you just find a piece of cardboard, or you can glue together 2 or 3 pieces of cardstock back to back to make it pretty thick, to be able to reinforce it and make it stronger. And you cut it to size. The next step you'd want to do is take some fabric, and this is 1, going to reinforce it as well, and 2, it's just kind of making everything a bit neat and covering up all that's going on underneath.
There'll be days when the world throws stones, your soul drips out in silent tones. Battles fought in secret you'll won, but know this truth: you were born with a strength that can't be crushed. Facing trials, you're never hushed. Remember your worth in the storm, your clarity in chaos, your norm. Rising like a phoenix from the flames, one drop of hope it sustains. The essence of a woman, fierce and strong. Facing life's storm, she sings her song. Through the darkest night, she shines bright. A warrior's heart, ready to fight. Her spirit's light, it leads the way, turning trials into brighter days. Your unmatched spirit won't retreat. Fighting hard, you won't be beat. Your light spreads even if unseen, in small wins and places you've been.
After the gluing is complete, I am making my signatures. So because this is a sketchbook, I wanted to use different art medium papers. And so here we have toned tan paper. This is really good for pastels and colored pencil. Next is canvas paper. This is really durable. It's literally already gessoed pieces of canvas in paper form. And I have watercolor paper. This is nice and thick. And this is just a cheap sketchbook I got at the dollar store. And I'll be using some of this as well. I have these are pages from an old South Carolina Southern Charm interior design book that I have that I absolutely love, and I've been using a lot of the pages because they're paper and they're naturally vintaged. I've been using a lot of these in my journals lately, and I thought it would be kind of cool to have that break up all the plain pieces of paper. So when making your signatures, and by the way, if you are a brand new beginner, your signatures are your bundles of paper that you're going to be binding in. You want to size them up properly, and you don't need them all the same size. I quite like making a lot of the pages small, medium, big, and layering them. That's what I prefer. But if you want to make them all the same size, you absolutely can as well. You just want to measure it carefully. Here I noticed that the paper was going to be too wide, so I'm just trimming it down. It's a lot of back and forth, but eventually it all fits together. So with this page in particular, it has a hole right in the middle, so we gotta cover that up because it will get in the way when we bind the pages together. And it's a really easy fix. All I did here was I glued down some washi tape. Washi tape on its own is probably fine, but I just really wanted to make sure it was going to be pretty durable, so I reinforced it with just some glue. There is still that hole there, so in a minute I'm going to show you how I fix that. Surprise, surprise, some more washi tape. This I didn't even bother gluing. It's not going to be tampered with too much, I guess you could say. It'll be fine. It's just adding another layer of protection for when we're binding. So at this point, you want to gather all your papers you're going to be using within your journal and start folding them up to size and getting them ready. I personally like to have about 8 pages in my bundle or in my signatures, in and around 8 to 9. I find that that's a good amount for me. But you could go to 10, 15, like it's up to you. It's just a journal can get bulky really, really quick once you start working in it. So over time, I've come to the conclusion that 16, so 8 pages folded is a perfect amount for me. But you can play around with however many you prefer. If you don't do a lot of bulky journaling, then you can probably do 15 if you wanted to. Instead of 8, do 15. So it's something to play around with. It's kind of personal preference, I think. It was at this point that I decided I wanted to make it both a junk journal and a sketchbook. So I began incorporating different pages that I've already had prepared. This is actually a really good tip for junk journaling. When you get a chance, or if you're having a day where you don't really want to create, but you want to do something, fold up a bunch of papers because they come in handy so well when you are finally ready to make a journal, because they're already there. You just grab and go instead of rummaging through all of your papers and trying to figure out what you want. And I find for eclectic journals especially, this is really good because you just have a whole bunch to choose from. Here, I'm just checking to see if there is enough room for 3 signatures, and there is. So the first signature is a junk journal signature. The middle one is my sketchbook signature with all the art papers. And then my last signature is going to be another junk journal one. I had completely forgotten I had already dyed some avocado paper and tea dyed paper a while ago, so I definitely want to incorporate those as well. I noticed that there was a piece of the fabric in the corner there that wasn't glued down, so I glued that down real quick, and now it's ready to bind. You will need clips, wax thread, doesn't have to be wax, but I suggest it, a needle, and an awl, or a pointy tool to make holes. First thing is we are going to make a template. I am making a template out of this cardboard. However, I suggest not doing it this way, instead doing it with a piece of paper. This is because we're going to be doing a lot of folding. so it's easier to fold and see the lines of paper as opposed to the cardboard. So you want to make sure that your template is the exact same size as the inside of the spine. Once you do that, you want to mark where the top is. Next, you're going to fold it in half to get the center point. This is where it's easier with paper than with cardboard. I am marking it because the line is not straight enough for me to see, so you can bypass this part of marking it. Next, you want to fold the lower half in half, and you will do the same with the top portion. Next, you will fold it in half long ways. To create a crease. So I'm marking the center points of each 3 lines. And at this point, I'm just going to eyeball it. Now you can definitely measure it with the ruler at this point if you want to be fully precise. I don't really care. I kind of like it looking not perfect. So I'm just eyeballing it and marking them as accurately as I can. So each line should have 3 marks going across. And you want to clip it in place so it doesn't move. And now we're going to start poking holes. Each one of those marked sections is where you are going to poke your hole. Once you are complete, it's going to look something like this. Next, you want to get your signature, your first signature, and I like to mark right, just a tiny, tiny little mark exactly where the holes are. So I'm lining the bundle up from top to bottom of the journal and making a mark where the holes are. And you want to clip the bundle in place. One tip, if you have smaller pages that do not fit in the clip, you can just tape them down with some washi tape temporarily to keep them from slipping and sliding. Now you are going to poke the holes that you've marked, or you're going to poke holes where you've put the marks. Because the holes are visible at this point, you do not need the template anymore. And now it is time to get your string ready. So you want the length of the string to be twice the size of the journal. So you're just going to do the length of the journal once and the length of the journal twice, and then there's the size of your string. Next, you want a needle. You want a bit of a bigger needle as opposed to a sewing needle, just to be able to go through all the thick pieces of paper and the spine. You go through the center of the bundle of paper and the center of the book. Next, you go up one hole. So right above the center hole, you're going to go through there. Now this is the important part. You are going to hop, skip, and jump over the center hole, and you're going to go into the bottom hole. I left this part in purposely because this happens to me all the time. It's not always a clean shot through all the papers. Sometimes you have to kind of coax the needle through, and it's okay. Sometimes it happens to me, sometimes it doesn't, but you just gotta go slow with it. So now you go back into the center hole and through. This time it went nice and easy. And at this point, you will not need your needle anymore. So put it aside. And I like to just make sure it's all tight and in place. The pages are looking proper. I did end up putting this backwards. The front should be the back and the back should be the front. Luckily, it's a junk journal, so it doesn't matter. And once you're happy with it being in place, you are going to tie a knot. Now, I didn't show it, but when you pull the two strings up, you want to make sure there's an open string on either side of that middle string. Hopefully that makes sense. And you're going to tie it in a knot, and you're going to continue to do this with each signature. And after your last signature is in, I'm just go in with a bone folder and kind of lay the papers down flat. But that's essentially it. At this point, you're pretty much done. I hope you guys enjoyed. I can't wait to work in this, and yeah, I hope you guys have a great time making your own. Hopefully this instruction was good enough. I hope you have an awesome day or an awesome night. Take care.